We hear the word accessibility all the time. We see the ramps, we see the signs. But what does that word really mean when we're talking about the websites and apps we use every single day? Let's dig in and figure out how we can build a world where everyone has a key, not just to physical doors, but to digital ones too.
So, when we get right down to it, is accessibility about building ramps, concrete and steel? Or is it about the invisible lines of code that run our digital lives? Well, the truth is, it's about both. All right, here's our game plan. First, we're going to look at the big idea that connects everything. Then, we'll dive into the physical world, and after that, the digital world. And finally, we'll bring it all back together to see how it's all part of one shared, inclusive goal.
Okay, so even though we're talking about two different worlds, physical and digital, they actually share the exact same goal, getting rid of barriers. The only thing that's different is what those barriers are made of. This is really the heart of it all. Accessibility isn't about making special fixes for a small group of people. Nope, it's about designing things from the very beginning so that literally everyone can use them, no matter what their abilities are. And here's where we see that key difference. In the physical world, barriers are, well, they're physical. You can see them, you can touch them. Think about a flight of stairs or a door that's just too narrow. But in the digital world, the barriers are invisible. They're hidden away in code and design choices, like a website that you can't use without a mouse, or a picture that has no description for someone who can't see it. So let's start with what we know, right? The world we actually walk around in every day. What does accessibility look like in the places we can physically see and touch? You've seen these a million times. Can't use the stairs? There's a ramp or an elevator. Can't read a printed sign? Braille gives you another way to get that information. Can't open a heavy door? It just opens for you. Need to shorten the trip from your car? There's a parking spot right up front. Each one of these is a direct solution to a very specific physical barrier. And this brings up a really cool idea called universal design. Take those automatic doors. Yeah, they're absolutely essential for someone in a wheelchair. But what about the delivery guy with his hands full of boxes? They help him too. That's the secret. When you design for accessibility, you almost always end up making things better for everybody. Okay, now let's make the jump to the digital world. And what's so fascinating here is that for just about every physical solution we just talked about, there's a digital equivalent. This is where it all connects. Think about it. A physical ramp helps you get around a building, while the digital version of that is keyboard navigation, which lets you move through a website without a mouse. Braille gives a non-visual way to read text. Its digital twin is alt text, which describes an image for a screen reader. Signs in a building give it structure. On a web page, that's what clear headings do. And you know how a PA announcement at an airport also shows up on the screen? That's just like a video having captions. It's the same idea. So, you see, the goal is exactly the same. We want our digital stuff, our websites, our apps, our content to work for everybody. It doesn't matter if someone has a sensory, cognitive, or physical disability. Good design should empower them, not shut them out. So as we put it all together, it becomes pretty obvious, right? The tools might be different, we're talking ramps versus code, but the core idea, the whole philosophy behind it is identical. It really just comes down to providing alternatives. An elevator is an alternative to taking the stairs. And in the very same way, alt text for an image is an alternative to seeing that image. It's that simple. And that leads right to the other huge principle. It's all about making things usable for everyone. It's that universal design idea again. A website with a nice, big, easy-to-read font is a lifesaver for someone with low vision, but it also makes for a better, less straining experience for every single person who visits that site. So for any of us who built things, and these days that's a lot of us, whether you're a designer, a developer, or you're just posting on social media, it's on us to think about the whole experience. The physical world and the digital world aren't separate anymore. They're two parts of the same journey. So where do you start? I know, it can feel like a lot, but it really boils down to one simple, powerful idea. That's it. Seriously, on your next project, whatever you're working on, just commit to starting with one simple change. Maybe that one thing is just adding alt text to your images, or maybe it's checking to see if your website works without a mouse. You don't have to boil the ocean. Just start with one thing. So I'll leave you with this question to think about. What will your one change be